Hi, Shirley here, and today Mercury has entered Scorpio, and I woke up with insights and channelings on narcissistic abuse. So Mercury squares Pluto, and Pluto sextiles Neptune, and I got channelings about narcissistic abuse, and Spirit was like, tell people. And I was like, November is here, and we're talking about narcissistic abuse. So yeah, this going to be a Pluto square Mercury in Scorpio, a Mercury in Scorpio video, and narcissistic abuse. And Pluto's sextile Neptune, like the shadow of Pluto sextile Neptune. So without further ado, remind them to subscribe to my channel, like, share, comment. Yeah, I didn't forget that. Now I can go on. No? Tell them about your readings. Oh, yes, I do readings. I do astrological readings that are both cognitive and channeled, and I do psychic readings if you don't have the birth time. I do not do rectification, although I know how to do it, but I don't feel secure enough to charge for it because I don't have a way to test myself against anything other than my intuition. So I do psychic readings and combined readings that are psychic and astrological. To book a reading with me, you go to my social media on Instagram and on Facebook or Twitter, and you can, or Quora. Oh, I am also on Quora. There, just like a good secretary spirit. Not a secretary. Anyhow, that's where you can get me and book a session with me. I receive transferring money from bank to bank, and I am going to receive Ethereum. Oh, I do receive Ethereum. I have an Ethereum wallet. So if you want to pay with Ethereum, that's a possibility, and I think you can pay me on Bitcoin. Yes, you can pay me on Bitcoin. DM me for that, and I'll give you the long thingy that you need to transfer cash. Yeah, it's a consultation is $300 for 1 hour, or you can have the equivalent in Ethereum or Bitcoin. That's going to help me raise my business. So, can I go on to the... Yes. Okay. Mercury in Scorpio. So Mercury is currently in 0 degrees Scorpio. It has entered the depth of the waters. And it has entered the depth of the waters, and we're not even going to talk about the upcoming opposition to Uranus and the T, but it has entered the depth of the waters while no longer in its airy domain. It is in deep waters, and it squares Pluto. And Pluto is in Cap. Now I'm getting, just like Mars is strong in Cap, Pluto is also quite powerful in Capricorn as well. It received the element of Earth to manifest what it needs to manifest. And sometimes that manifestation can be askew. So Mercury governs the nervous system, it governs our thinking process, it governs what we think logically. Of course, we can use Mercury to channel, and I have Mercury in a fire sign, and it channels great. It oppositions Pluto, it channels wonderful. But Mercury in itself is how you deal with things intellectually. Think about Virgo, the details of it all, the facts, how you check the facts, how you converse with the spreading of ideas and testing ideas against cold facts and reality and alternative facts. That's Gemini. But Pluto is like how you viscerally get something. It's your intuition of an embodied sense. What your body tells you about this thing. What's underneath? What's hidden? And when Mercury is in Scorpio, it's not in its usual ground. It's adaptable. It's true. Everybody says, oh, Mercury is adaptable. It can be both hot and cold, Yes, but to imitate something is not to be something. And, you know, when I said in my previous new moon horoscope about Mercury in Virgo, like, you're going to enter the tea. Don't think you can pull off the tricks of the sharks and win them in their game. This is very much related to narcissistic abuse, and don't try to be vengeful of people who abused you psychologically. Because you can't beat them in their game. You can imitate them. You can put the mirror in front of them. You can, you know, show it to society. But you cannot beat them at their game, because they've been doing this for survival. They've been doing this as a survival instinct, whether it's a coping mechanism due to whatever trauma or not. Like, there is also the or not thingy. And the Mercury in Scorpio, it doesn't have any cold facts to deal with. The things, for example, the Sun exposes the depths. Mars initiates, it sets boundaries, it also initiates new beginnings. But Mercury is exposed to the depths of things that it cannot compartmentalize. This is not something you can, you know, compartmentalize and dissect. Which is funny because Mars does dissect, but it dissects at the core. And Mercury is kind of lost here, to be frank. It's kind of lost here. It doesn't know how to contain the depths of the wisdom that it's being exposed to. And it can be maneuvered quite easily, depending on your native, you know, your native Mercury. And it's not true for, it is true for native Mercury in Scorpio, yes. It doesn't know how to maneuver the depths of the ocean. And it's confronted with all kinds. It's confronted with higher beings, with lower beings, with narcissistic beings, with pure beings, and it doesn't know its way. It doesn't know to tell who's who. And so the Mercury, or the native who's undergoing a narcissistic abuse story, undergoes a boot camp where it's about to grow. This is also true to native Mercury in Scorpio. You don't stay stupid. You go through a certain boot camp of learning to identify who is narcissistic, who is abusive, who is gaslighting. The word gaslighting, oh my God, this is a huge one, for a huge theme for this month. For some people, not for all people. Yeah, you know, I've dealt with it in the past months. It's not necessarily going to be a repetitive theme now. But I actually can offer some insight as to how it works, which is, I guess, why Spirit asked me to talk about it, because I know what it's like. So that passage of growth, or hero's journey, receiving the hero's journey, Mercury comes naive into 0° Scorpio. Opposition in Pluto, no, not opposition, you know, square in Pluto, and everything is new. And now it has to decide which is which. So Mercury here learns how to develop a deeper intuition, a sense of embodied intuition. And embodied intuition, it can be about moving forward or backwards with the body. It can be about expansion and contraction, what causes expansion or release or relief, and what contracts the body. It can be temperatures, like what changes the temperatures, and the heartbeat. If you can listen to your heartbeat, the temperatures, of course, manifest in speed and velocity, and the frequency, and the frequency of the heartbeat, the intervals of the heartbeat. People who know to read heartbeats can tell about your family history of diseases or something like that. I don't know how to do that. But TCM practitioners do know how to do that. And so Mercury learns to listen to different signs and signals than it used to to make decisions by. And it's a very good student. It is adaptable. So if you think you can fool a Mercury in Scorpio, or if you think you can fool the Mercury just because he cannot beat you at your own game, it doesn't mean he doesn't have a game that is equally compatible to eliminate the risk that you possess if you are that abuser. So, but it won't do that by, a smart Mercury will not do that by trying to beat the narcissist or the abuser at their own game. They will just eliminate themselves from the game. And then, if you are that person and you're dealing with the narcissistic figure in your life, someone who tries to make you doubt your reality, someone who tries to make you reactive instead of responsive, someone you get that your body gets contracted around, you don't ask if they're narcissistic or not. That's the trick. Because you can't handle the truth. You probably, if you came into this situation, you probably came into this situation believing that all people are human, they have good sides and bad sides, and you probably can't handle the truth. You probably can't handle that somebody may choose to be mean to you, not because of their childhood trauma, but because that's a choice that they made, however stupid and insignificant as it may be. And a choice that they can change at any time. It's not going to work. The trick is to not try to diagnose the person in front of you, but to try to eliminate you from the game. And it's incredibly triggering because Mercury, that thing that adapts itself to everything, now has to find its own identity in Scorpio so that it can be liberated in Sag. So that's the hero's journey. So Mercury was fair in the scales in Libra. It has learned to communicate, to see the other side, to learn its adaptability, and to see the other side and to communicate, to be diplomatic and charming and magnetic. And then it had magneted sharks. Now it's upgrading. And now it has to discern. Who do you want to keep as a partnership with you, or as a colleague, as a boss, as a parent or a child with you? And who do you have to cut away from to eliminate yourself from the game? And to do it very cautiously and use the maneuvers that you need in the underground to move out of the situation and heal. You get a chance to heal there. So if you are that Mercury in Scorpio, if you are that native, you don't have to have a Mercury in Scorpio for that to affect your chart. Mercury could create some angle to your ascendant. Maybe you have ascendant in Scorpio, or one of the water signs, or any sign basically, because it could create, like a quincunx. So it could create like an inconjunct to your ascendant, or other planets, your sun and moon, and that can affect your Venus. So there's so many ways in which you could be triggered by that, and you could be in this situation. And if you are, then what you need to know is that after you walk out, the journey begins. The journey begins when you walk out. Because you have to keep reminding yourself that you were not imagining. Even though there's nothing logical, if you would tell logically the situation to someone, they would say, I don't know. And you yourself would say, I don't know. It's not a logical thing. You don't get this knowledge here. You get this knowledge viscerally. It's a complete change of methodology, of epistemology. Okay, how do we know that we know? It's a complete epistemic change. When I went through this in the academia, it was one of the things that caused me to take a break from the academia, because I was like, how am I ever going to present my thesis on medicine and the approaches and intuitive approaches to medicine if I don't have the language to translate it to the people, because their epistemic standards for what is empirical, for what is scientific, are different. And they have not dealt with narcissistic abuse, so they don't know. And for me, one of the things that got me to accept another reality, it was going through narcissistic abuse. It's kind of like, I need a different way to make decisions. I need to know more, because in the academia you learn to doubt, to question, which is very valuable. To put a distance, Mercury, to put a distance between you and the facts. Mercury is also about taking that distance. There is also, I'm not going to get into that now. But you're being asked to adopt a different worldview. You're being asked to adapt a different methodology for what you think is facts, and how to test the facts. It's not easy. Anything more about that? Yes. When you go out, then you're going to be in a boot camp of identifying what is gaslighting. And so you will run into a couple of narcissistic people. You will suddenly meet narcissistic people at the grocery store, at, a date, at whatnot. And you don't need to shy away from these confrontations. You need to tackle them, because once, spirit won't just do that to you. But once you've been through that, once you've been a victim to that, that boot camp is currently necessary. It's currently the only way spirit knows how to get you through that. It wants to empower. This is a Pluto theme. Pluto wants to empower you against abuse. So it's going to put you up against it, and you take your power until it's no longer an issue, because you're like, oh, I know how to identify it, but it's not like I know how to identify it. You viscerally are no longer triggered by that. That is quite a journey. And, I'm speaking as a neurodivergent person. Communication has been a part of my issues in life. And so that's a theme that I've dealt with a lot. I don't know if it's like, a lot of neurodivergent people are faced with that, because it's communication. For many neurodivergent people, it's communication. It's a Mercury, and it's both the nervous system and communication, right? But it's not neurodivergent. It's a different Mercury. For me, it stations direct in Aries, oppositioning Pluto in Scorpio, and I've been put through a huge boot camp to kind of use channeling to communicate. Sometimes I use channeling even to communicate with people, because I don't even know if I'm supposed to say something, share something, if it's the right thing. So I would ask spirit, is it the right thing? And so I overcome a lot of my conditions as being neurodivergent in communication by channeling. And this is also something you can do when you can learn how to channel and tackle the topic of narcissistic abuse, especially if you're neurodivergent. Then you can learn how to channel, and then some of you probably are already doing that. Oh wow! I'm being told that that's why there are so many neurodivergent people in the astrological and psychic community, because it's like we had to do that. We had to do that to actually communicate, and to have connections, and to feel a part of something. So that's a theme. It's probably not the only thing. There'll probably be more videos about Mercury and Scorpio, but that's something the spirit wanted me to tackle. So if you are going through narcissistic abuse, it's a boot camp, and it makes it even more difficult to tell people, because you're like, that happened, and that happened, and that happened, and that happened. People are like, it cannot be that everybody tries to manipulate you. Maybe something you're doing wrong. And it's like, no, it's a part of that boot camp of learning how to identify it. And you need to go through this. Right now, you need to go through this. I'm sure that in the future, Spirit will have bigger and better tools to get people connected to Spirit, and to have the intuition alive and working, and not having to go through this much pain and suffering. But we need to get closer to the planets. We need to know them better. They need to know us better, so they can know how to approach us in a way that we can understand, and and communicate with our bodies in the way that we can understand it, so we won't need to tackle that boot camp a lot. But Pluto, think about Pluto as the guillotine, and I don't remember which astrologer gave me this information. I apologize if I did not credit you. You can, if you hear this and it's you, write write yourself down. I will credit you gladly. Pluto is the guillotine, and the guillotine, it was not a cruel way to kill people. It was one cut and then they die. And it was actually, to put an end to an issue in a way that is the most humane. So Pluto does not try to put you through needless suffering. It wants you to grow. It wants you to develop your power because you need to. Because if you've been through narcissistic abuse, now you won't be able to love unless you are able to trust that you're now with the person who's not narcissistic. And the only way for you to identify that is to learn who is narcissistic, who is not narcissistic, to learn discernment, to learn channeling, and to overcome that an empath problem, that neurodivergent problem, that Mercury issue of communication and discernment. And so you're able to love. Okay, they only take you through this path so that you will be able to love, so that you will be able to feel connection, so that you will be able to feel like it's a blessing to be here on this planet. But you have to know who's who. If you don't know who is who, you will not be liberated. Pluto is going to reach Sag, and in Sag you have great ideas. You have traveling to other countries, or being exposed to many cultures. If you don't know who's who, you're going to get lost very quickly, and you can end up suffering, and you can end up dying really brutal deaths if you don't know who's who. And in Scorpio, Mercury learns who is for them, who is against them, who has nothing to do with them, and then are they benefiting me? Are they good for me? Are they neutral? That's what you learn in Scorpio. So it's not an easy month for the nervous system. It's not an easy month for neurodivergent people. Unless you've already been through that, unless you've somehow already been through that. Maybe now you're in the initial stages of that boot camp, or in the final stages of that boot camp, like me. Final stages, that means it's not over yet. Yeah, they're telling me it's not over yet. Oh, damn. But it's not going to be as difficult. It's going to be easier. You're not going to be triggered by that all along. It's just going to identify, move on. That's what you're being called to do. To identify, move on. You're not going to try to beat them up at their game. Remember what I said for the new moon for Virgo. Everybody, no matter what Mercury sign you are, no matter what sun, moon, or ascendant you are, listen to the video about the new moon in Scorpio, and listen to the part where I talk about Virgo. Listen to that, because this is important. Do not try to beat the narcissist at their own game. Do not try to expose them. Expose them to who? To a society of people who don't know who is who. What you need to do is to teach intuition. That is how you're going to save people. What you need to do is to eliminate the prey. When you eliminate the prey, should I talk about it? Okay, for example, there is the discourse about sex workers. And then there are attempts to, for example, in my country, to ban the possibility of being a client of sex work, thinking that it will save the people in the industry, so that the people who are abused will not be abused. Like if there are no, this is something that creates a black market. What needs to be done is to eliminate the poverty, the issues with intuition. Yes, the issues with intuition, the trauma, the effects of the trauma, to heal people effectively, to integrate them in society effectively, especially, for example, the trans community, LGBTQ community. A lot of them go to the sex industry because they don't have a place where they can find a job. And we need to eliminate that, to eliminate that slavery and sex work. And then we can discover, if there is sex work that has nothing to do with that slavery, or has nothing to do with abuse, then, that can be. But we won't have a positive sex work until we eliminate and eradicate those sufferings. And to say, we cannot eliminate and eradicate those sufferings, that's bogus. Like literally Pluto says, that's bogus. You know you can. You just need to empower yourself, and you need to set intention to. We cracked, the atom. We cracked the atom. We flew to the moon. We sent a mission to Mars. The many things we can do to completely eradicate a lot of suffering on this earth. And Pluto knows that. And he asks for the people, because the people are the ones at the higher ranks. The people are the ones at the government. The people are the ones at, at every rank of society. Society is compartmentalized people. And nobody has the power other than the power of those people. I have. That's a very powerful Mercury and Pluto thingy. And so Pluto asks you to find your power. It is sextiling Neptune. And there's a light and shadow to the sextile, because I will speak about this sextile in a separate video. This is like a complete calling. But I'll say something now. The supportive energy of Neptune is the supportive energy of a planet that dissolves boundaries. So when you are empowered, the boundaries between you and the higher ranks are dissolved. You can literally open an energy portal with the Queen Elizabeth. And I am speaking from experience. I'm speaking from experience, which really surprised me. I might talk about it one day. You can literally open an energy portal with the Queen Elizabeth. If that is in consent and in good health and in good faith, then you can do that. No matter who you are, you can be a peasant. No matter who you are, you will see your healing, you will see your support. But for the people who are disempowered, then the people who are abusive, they also have that network. They also have that network of support, of the dissolution of the boundaries. This is why we don't expose the narcissist. We expose the mechanism. And we empower ourselves with this. And we eliminate ourselves from the game. And when we do, then things do change, because the predator does no longer have prey. And he doesn't have a single person to blame this for. People like me, I'm quite supportive. There are quite some people, if you're getting the coverage of Pluto, you're quite supported. If you're channeling Pluto, you're quite supported. And for the other, star factors that I'm channeling, that I'm working with, that I'm being protected by, I won't even say the word. That's that. But this is going to be a month of that hero's journey for many of you. And if it is, know that you are safe, that you are supported, that you are empowered, that you are doing an important job of growth, that you are doing this because it has a meaning. The meaning you will see in Sag. Maybe you want to travel. Maybe you want to study something new and it requires you to be exposed to new cultures, to new people. And you want to know who is who. Maybe you want to open a new business that is a global business. Okay, something global, something philosophical, something study. Maybe you're going to study in an academy abroad. And you need to know who's who. So this month you're going to go through the bootcamp that when you travel, you're already swimming in the waters and you're not shaken by having all kinds. And one of my sayings, and I've been through, I had to deal with abuse. I had to deal with powerful people. I had to deal with narcissistic people. Is anybody? And one of my sentences always, my mantra has always been, there are all kinds, stick to your kind. And that means not your culture, not your gender, not your faith, your heart. You connect with people through your heart. And hearts, there are all kind. Stick to your kind. That was me. again, they remind me for you to subscribe to my channel, comment, like, share. If you want a reading with me, it's $300. That's a lot of money. They tell me $300. I'm worth it. But it does support my business, and it does support my doing essential oil blends for people who are victims of violence in my country. Only in my country, because I cannot transfer the oils like outside of the country. I don't know how to do that just yet. And I give it to them for free, or only for the, posting charges when I don't have the money to post, to, deliver that. So that helps the project as well. It helps me. Taking the time to record all these videos and bring all this knowledge that sometimes saving lives. And you can look up gaslighting, you can look up narcissistic abuse. Among the people who teach that, you will also need to know who is who. And intuition development, and really ask me questions. Take advantage of this time when I'm available, and I'm not yet big on YouTube or big on anything. If you're watching this video, take advantage of this time and ask me questions, because I probably won't be able to answer them forever. And now I can. And I have a ton of data. I'm 37 years old. I'm a Me Too veteran. I am an aromatherapist, an astrologer, and a channeler. I've studied philosophy of science and philosophy of medicine for my thesis. I've studied in the politics and governance department. I've studied English linguistics, so I know a bit about the nervous system and how it processes data, like language. I know some things in my life. Do take advantage and ask me questions, because I'm getting that it's not going to always be the case that you will be able to just easily reach me as you can now. There are a couple of things I want to do in my life. And so right now I have the time. Do not be shy. Don't shy away from asking me questions. I'm very reachable. I'm very open. I'd love to channel for you what you need right now. So I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.